We have Spiritborn news in 2 days. We have Rob 2628 news right now. So in case you guys don't understand what I'm talking about or who I'm talking about, Diablo 4 news has dropped as of earlier today. Season 5 changes preview that's coming out. Brand new stuff coming from Rob 2628. That is if you play Diablo 4 and you're familiar with the space, the content creator space, Rob 2628 is basically the Barbarian god for everyone on Diablo 4. Knows pretty much everything about Barbs and all the Chinese builds and all that glorious stuff. But anyway, today on his stream, he discussed some of the changes. Rob was actually flown out to Blizzard headquarters to take part in the Spiritborn preview thing that I guess no one's allowed to talk about until the 18th, which is again in 2 days. There's going to be a campfire chat discussing everything about the Spiritborn class. Super excited about that. We're going to have a video on that as well when it comes out. But some Season 5 previews, some big nerfs on the way. If you guys haven't heard about this, it's just kind of big. Now, this is all subject to change. This is not all speculation, but it's not 100% truth. But this gives a good insight on the direction Blizzard's going to be going with Season 5 right now. Now, this is after PTR, obviously, so all of the feedback that they got, this is some of the changes that's going to be coming out and involved. So let's just dive right in. This is on Wowhead. I'm going to leave the link to the what I'm reading off of in the description below. You guys can check it out there. If you don't, want to just go through it with me here. But anyway, some big changes right here. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you guys can read along with me. So general changes that they're making for Necromancers and Sorceresses. Now you're going to be receiving 1% damage per 8 intelligence as opposed to 1% damage every 10 intelligence. This is kind of a big change. It's just an innate boost across the board for Necromancers, Sorcs, Druids also, and Rogues get almost the same thing. Rogues get 1% damage every 9 dexterity instead of 1% every 10 dexterity. Notice that Barbarians are kind of missing in the picture here. So I'm guessing this is kind of Blizzard's first step to trying to bring order, balance to the classes right now, because Barbarian has been here and everyone else has been anywhere around here. Barbarian's been absolutely fun to play, but having 4 stat sticks as opposed to 3 and as opposed to 2, as you can see, Rogues got less of a buff here because Rogues can actually use 3 weapons. They can use a bow crossbow and 2 swords or 2 daggers. Every other class, you got your 2-hander and you got your 1-hander, or your 1-hander and your offhand, whatever. It's not 3 and it's not 4. So I figure this is their first step into trying to kind of balance the axe there. Good changes. Obviously, if this comes in, we'll see what this equates to. Another big change, experience bonus per monster level difference is now uncapped. It used to be capped at 15%. I think if things were 10 levels, 12 levels above you, the cap XP would be 15%, so there was no reason to really fight things as you're leveling that was higher than that. So what does this mean? Well, essentially what it's going to mean is you're going to be leveling one time in the season, and then you and your friends are going to be power leveling each other pretty much. Personally, I don't like changes like this, but it is what it is. People don't like the level. I actually think leveling is the best experience in D4 right now. I don't really care for the end game currently, but, hey. This gives people a chance to bum rush themselves to 100 a couple of days into the game. We'll see how that goes, though. It looks a lot like Diablo 3. Temper manuals, natural finesse. Damage to close enemies has been nerfed by 30%. Pretty big. Consumables for Profane Mind Cages are now permanently in the game. Enchanting no longer requires Angel Breath. This is a good change. All right, and here's some in-game changes. The stacking debuff that increases damage taken after getting hit with a pit is going to remain. They're keeping that. This is a good change. This stops the whole one-hit gimmick that has been plaguing Diablo 4 since the beginning. So now, If you get hit 4 times, the 5th time's probably going to kill you, depending on how tanky you are. Helltide, they readjusted the Baneful Heart drop rate. Blood Maiden now only requires 2 Baneful Hearts to be summoned in World Tiers 1 and 2. 3 and 4 still require 3. Infernal Hordes. So here we go. This is kind of something that if you played the PTR and you attempted to do the Infernal Horde content, it just sucked, right? It wasn't fun. The PTR glaringly made it so that the Infernal Hordes was kind of crappy. I think even Riker's on record of saying that he didn't like it. But they've significantly tuned the rewards for Infernal Hordes, so that's a bonus. Spoils of greater equipment costs to open chest or whatever has been reduced from 250 to 60. This is a huge decrease, by the way. I mean, obviously 250 to 60 is it's a lot. Spoils of equipment chest cost to open has been reduced from 25 to 20, and materials 25 to 20. Time per wave reduced from 90 seconds to 60 seconds, so these waves are going to be coming a little bit quicker. This is good. They increased the amount of monsters per wave, so there's more things to kill. Density, always fun. Doubled all Burning Aether drops. Now pets can pick up Burning Aether, and boss health on the PTR was bugged and was therefore decreased. And also, we're not going to be getting tiers 9 and 10 until the mid-season patch. So Infernal Hordes, I'm really interested to try out this new iteration of it. Again, like I said before, all of these changes may or may not be in Season 5. We'll have to wait until the official Blizzard patch notes. But I'm pretty sure this is probably on spot, if I was to make a guess. So I'm really excited to try out the new Horde, or Infernal Horde mode. Here's the meat and potatoes of what I wanted to talk about today. The class changes, specifically Barbarian. Barbarian got gutted. Like, don't get me wrong. I know, Barbs were super strong. This is probably gonna... my personal opinion, I've already read through these. I still think that Barbarians are going to be, like, top dog, honestly. I just think that Barbs are just that good, right? But these are some gutting nerfs right here. Let's get into it. So Unconstrained, this is between Unconstrained and Gushing Wounds. These were pretty much the only 2 key passives that Barbs were using, rightfully so. I mean, Unconstrained, your damage went way up when you were berserking. So it was just amazing damage increase. So that got gutted. Damage reduced from 100% to 35%. That is that's a cut. So Walking Arsenal damage got reduced by 4%. Damage reduced from 20% to 10% while all 3 damage bonuses are active. And attack speed reduced from 20 to 10% while all 3 bonuses are active. Woo! Another little cut. Unbridled Rage, another one that people use somewhat. Damage was reduced from 100% to 45%. Another big slash. And Gushing Wounds. So we're going to read all of this. This is what previously happened with Gushing Wounds. Gushing Wounds was really, really strong, especially in Season 4 when we were toying with flay builds and whatnot. Gushing Wounds was really strong. So previously, when causing an enemy to bleed, you had a chance equal to your critical strike chance to increase the bleed amount by 140% multiplicative of your critical strike damage bonus. So you would stack on crit strike bonus and boom. Overpowering a bleeding enemy creates an explosion that inflicts 85% bleeding damage over 5 seconds. That was previously. Now, what we're going to be getting, when causing an enemy to bleed, you have a chance equal to your critical strike chance to increase the bleed amount by 70% multiplicative. The bleed amount is further increased by 100% bonus or additive of your critical strike damage bonus. So, notice what they've done there. Also, let me finish. Overpowering a bleeding enemy also creates an explosion that inflicts 120% bleeding damage bonus over 5 seconds. So if we look and compare and contrast what they did, basically it goes from the bleed amount with your crit strike chance increase 140% multiplicative slashed by half Now it's a 70% multiplicative. All right. Now, if we keep reading here, the bleed amount is further increased to, or by 100% additive now. Oh, I'm sorry. I think I got this mixed up a little bit. I'm sorry. So instead of having a chance equal to your critical strike chance, yes. So now this increases by 70% multiplicative, and the bleed amount is further increased by 100% additive instead of 140% multiplicative. So this is quite the... Honestly, like, Gushing Wounds basically got a rework. Obviously, the overpower thing here got changed a bit as well. The explosion was 85%. Now it's 120%. So they're pushing more on that overpower instead of just stacking nothing but crit strike chance and crit strike damage. So Gushing Wounds, I think, is still going to be pretty... Honestly, I think Gushing Wounds is probably going to be the best key passive here. Obviously, for a bleed build. If you do other things, maybe you'll try other things out. But Unconstrained, what I take away from this is Unconstrained just got completely castrated. Unbridled Rage got hit really hard. Walking Arsenal, I'll be honest, personally, I didn't use Walking Arsenal that much, but that was because Unconstrained was just that good, right? So we'll see what goes around with this. I'm not too keen on bleeding builds personally. I did try one in Season 4, and it was absolutely crazy damage. You're not Ubers, like you're just downing them in no time. We'll see what comes of this, but this is wild nerfs. But here you go. Here's one more for you. One more for the road. Temper manuals for Barbs. Barbarian Protection is gone. This is gone. So all of these imposing... presence and guttural yell builds out there, gone. The days of having 800,000 to 1 million health on Barbarian, poof. Don't get me wrong, that was really strong. They were, I think, the only class that could even achieve that. But now it's gone. So no more having easy access to an absolute crapload of health and other defensive boons here. So I'm kind of sad to see that go away, but at the same time, it was needed. Come on, let's be real. But that was Barbs. If we keep on looking here, Druids and almost every other class here, Necromancer, etc., they all got changed a little bit, but it's all buffs. We're going to be a lot more lightning around here because I think Barbarians were the ones that got hit. Like, actually hit. But anyway, let's keep going. Druids got boulder damage increased by, like, what was this, 46 to 70%? That's a sizable increase. So boulder may be an actual build now. Natural rabies, which meant rabies spread 50% faster, is now baseline. So, rabies may be a thing now. I don't know. Rabies needs a lot of love to be effective, I feel. Blood Howl, now baseline tagged as a shout skill. I thought this was already there, to be honest with you. Maybe it was bugged and just didn't work, but okay, this is here. Key passives, Perfect Storm damage has been increased by 10%. Earthen Might increased by 5%. Aspects, we got Stormclaw Aspect. Maximum damage has been increased by 10%. Aspect of the Blurred Beast, which is the shred seeking out targets that are poisoned. Maximum damage has been increased by 15%. Aspect of Retaliation, which is your core skills doing bonus damage based off Fortify. Maximum damage has been increased by 5%. It's pretty good. Seismic Shift Aspect. I don't know of anyone that actually used this. It created an Earth Spike with... It created a line of spikes with Earth Spike. I don't know. It seems neat, but I never really tried it. Balanced Aspect increases your maximum spirit. Spirit generation has been increased by 30%. Runeworker Aspect, or Runeworker's Conduit Aspect, I'm sorry. Aspect is being changed. We don't know much else than that, but basically when your crit strikes with storm skills that you cast, charge the air around you and create like dancing lightning bolts or something, or causing lightning bolt to periodically hit. I'm sorry. So that's being reworked. Bjorn Fang's Tusk is now a ring instead of a glove. So that's a very interesting change. I'm excited to see what this does. This is basically the Cataclysm prioritizing enemies. And while it's active, you get unlimited spirit and deal a lot of increased damage. This is a pretty cool set of gloves. This being moved to rings is kind of interesting. So anyway, Paragon, damage cap, damage cap, damage cap. Thunderstruck is being damage capped at 60%. Survival Instincts being capped at 60%. And so is Earthen Devastation. Caps, caps, caps. Anyway, Necromancer changes. Lucky hit chance for most skills has been increased roughly 50%. Kind of cool. An example of this, Sever, lucky hit chance increased from 25% to 40%. This is really neat. Enhanced Decompose. Explosions can now trigger lucky hit effects. Aspect of Bursting Bones. When a segment of Bone Prison is destroyed, now scales with the size increase from Path of Tragul. I still want to call that Trangul. Diablo 2. Damn you. Inexorable Reaper's Aspect. That's Sever, making you dash forward. Your minimum cooldown has been reduced from 7 to 6. Paragon, overpower damage with Bloodbath has been increased by double. There you go. Blood begets blood. Damage increased from 5% to 10%, and the cap has been increased from 30 to 50%. So it looks like everything that had a cap or is getting a cap is just kind of getting a little bit of a buff on that cap, I guess. Not a bad thing, but, you know, caps are never too fun. But I will say this. I do agree caps are needed to keep some sensible balance in check here. Let's be real with ourselves. Maybe they're not the most fun thing in the world because you're just aiming for a number and then you're like, okay, moving on to something else and something else. It's a weird thing to juggle, to be honest, in my opinion. Temper manuals for Necromancers. Blood Finesse. So basically this was all of your blood stuff, your blood attack speed, blood damage, blood overpower damage, and damage while fortified. Blood damage has been increased by, what was that, 25%? Blood overpower damage has been increased by a chunk as well, 85 to 105. Damage while fortified has been increased by 25% as well. So these are good changes. Shadow Finesse, shadow damage over time has been increased by 75 to 90%. So 15% increase there. Damage or darkness damage increased from 55 to 80. All right, it does it for Necromancers. Let's move on to Rogue skills. I don't think Rogues had that much. Yeah, this is all on basically one line here. Flurry. Damage has been increased by a chunk, 94 to 130. Lucky hit chance has been increased by 5%, and further upgrade node changes, whatever that may entail. Enhanced Caltrops. A bug fix no longer increases its maximum value. Okay. Class specialization, preparation. Duration increased from 8 to 10. Good little buff here. Wind Force. No longer causes knockback, but no other changes to Wind Force. So, who's going to use that? Make Wind Force great again. Come on, police. Paragon. Let's see. Exploit weakness. No longer executes elites. No witnesses. No damage cap has been increased by 10%, and duration has been increased from 8 to 10. All right, moving on. Last but not least here, we're almost done already. We got Sorks. Let's see what we got with Sorks. Damage of all core and mastery skills has been increased from 15 to 20%. Hydra got an increase of 4%. Now remember, I think this counts for each head. I'm not certain on that. But if it increases each head, 4% each head, that's a sizable increase. Ice armor barrier has been increased from 25% to 56% of your maximum life. That's a good change. Passives, warmth, I guess you're getting healing increase. Align with the elements. Damage reduction cap has been increased from 40 to 60%. You gain 3% damage reduction against elites for each second you haven't taken damage. So this goes up to 60%. That's cool. It means maybe you won't get one shot. Mana shield damage reduction increased by 2%. 2%. And the key passives for Sorcerer. Combustion damage increased by 40%. Nice. That's very interesting. Shatter. Damage has been increased from 30 to 45%, but no longer receives damage from itself. People have been abusing Shatter since the beginning, it seems, but we'll see. We'll see what happens with Shatter now. Aspects. Aspect of Splintering Energy, which was critical hits with Lightning Spear, caused lightning to arc from it. Maximum damage is increased by 15%. Lightning Rod Aspect. Aspect is being changed, and so is Snow Veil. So, Lightning Rod Aspect. Chain Lightning has a 20 to 35% chance to chain an additional time. Okay, so I think this is going into effect because if you haven't been paying attention, or if you don't know, there's a new set of pants, or unique pants that are coming out in Season 5. There's a lot of new uniques apparently coming out. But one of them is these, the Axial Conduits. I remember when they showcased this on the campfire chat, instantly everyone was like, that's broken. And sure as shit, it definitely is broken or it was broken in the PTR, so I think they're just kind of trying to figure it back out. As you can see, the Axial Conduit unique item is being changed. We'll see what that entails at a later date, but yeah, that basically your Chain Lightning we'll just read it. Chain Lightning would alternate between orbiting you and seeking up to 3 enemies, and when it would return, it drains 6 mana from you for each active Chain Lightning. After draining a total of 66 total mana, the bolt explodes for a chunk of damage. This was pretty big. Like, we were watching some videos of people on the PTR, and they were just blowing things up left and right with this. It looked fun. But yeah, you also had a chance for Chain Lightning projectiles to be cast twice on these pants. Like, these are really cool. These are what uniques need to be like, in my opinion. These are really cool ideas. Really neat. Anyway, Paragon for Sorks. Let's go over this. Burning Instinct. This is the burning damage increased for crit strike bonus. Damage cap has been increased from 40 to 80%, so that's good. Now receive 1% damage for every 20 intelligence you have, down from 25. Ceaseless Conduit, another damage cap for lightning users. Damage cap has been increased by double, 60 to 120. Now receives 2% damage for every 20 and you have, down from 3%. Okay. And Elemental Summoner. Damage cap has been increased from 30% to 60. And you now receive 10% damage for the total amount of bonus damage of Fire, Cold, Lightning, up to 5%. Frigid Fate. This is the ice damage cap. And Searing Heat. Pyromancy skills have a 12% increased crit strike chance and deal direct damage, 10% damage. I'm just rambling on at the same. Anyway, all the damage caps got increased, essentially, as we said earlier. And then last but not least, there's Icefall. Your frost skills deal 18% multiplicative, increased damage to vulnerable enemies. This bonus is doubled if the enemy is frozen. So that just got a slight increase right there. Overall, these are really interesting changes. I'm curious to see which one or if any of these, I'm sure most of these will, but if any of these changes come through in the final version of Season 5, which is coming up really soon. This is July 16th. We don't have very much of Season 4 left. So if you guys haven't been playing Season 4, highly recommend you jump into Season 4. There's a little bit of time left. There's enough time for you to get to level 100. There's enough time for you to really enjoy what, in many people's eyes, is viewed as the best season yet for Diablo 4. I'm hoping that Season 5 continues this trend. We'll see. The Endless Horde or Infernal Horde that's coming out, I'm really hoping that kind of thing pops off. We'll see what happens. But anyway, I wanted to get this out there. I know a lot of people didn't know about this, mainly because Wowhead reported on it, or if you're not a fan of Rob2628, you wouldn't have known about this. So if you just happen to stumble across this on the channel, leave us a thumbs up and a like if you enjoyed the video. Hopefully we brought a little bit of news to you here. And if you wouldn't mind, hit that subscription button down there. It doesn't cost anything. It's free. Helps us small channels out quite a bit. I would appreciate that. But with that, I bid you adieu. Y'all have a good one. We'll see you on the next one. We're going to have a new player guide up real soon for Diablo 4. So if you're brand new to Diablo 4, we welcome you in. Hopefully I can give you some information to help you get started on that journey. But with that, we're out of here. Y'all take care. We'll see you on the next one.